Joe's Inner Child Podcast.
Welcome back. Today's episode is our final Attack on Titan chat. We speak with Connie voice actor Clifford Chapin once more about his hopes for Season 4 and his work with the Japanese voice actor of the character. We had a great time, and I'm sure you will too.
Literary Joe's Inner Child Podcast.
That thing is that Connie was very different than, Aaron and Mikasa and Armin, and especially in the beginning. And so, he goes through a lot of growth, and we see him struggle with betrayal. And like when we get to the scenes of betrayal where you find out the big twists, in the later portion of season 2, who the traitors are and things like that, like those affect Connie differently than that affects like Aaron and Armin and them. Aaron and Armin kind of grit their teeth at it a little bit more, but Connie seems so hurt by it. And those are all real things. And sort of to your point about it is that every character is formed a specific way, and we as actors, we have a duty to portray that character accurately and faithfully. And we call upon our own experiences to bring us to those moments, but we always try to be the character in the moment, be honest to that moment in the character.
Definitely. I was actually wondering too, with the series coming to a close and kind of just another chapter of a show ending, what do you think you'll take away from your voice acting role as Connie to other projects in the future?
Man, at this point, I feel like it's just, if nothing else, it'll be gratitude. I've learned so much over the course of production on Attack on Titan. And like I said, I was so new at the time. Attack on Titan is, I've said it before online and such, but Attack on Titan is what I consider to be my first big show, and it really was and still is my first big show, because it was so unlike the other roles I had played before, and in the shows I had played in before, and that it has continued now 7 years later. He's the longest standing character I have had, at least within chronology. I've been in other shows that have more episodes than now, but at least for as long as being a part of my life, Attack on Titan and Connie has been there. And it's been a really big part of everything that I feel like followed after it. I've learned so much working on this show, and carried that knowledge into other performances and shows that I've worked on after. And it's recognizable. It was one of those things that people knew it. So even when I was like a new voice actor, and fans of voiceover and anime and such were finding me, they're like, oh, he's an Attack on Titan, so it sort of helped bridge myself to other people, and interact with a lot of people that I would have never interacted with otherwise. So I think if there's anything that I have that I will take away from Attack on Titan, no matter what happens throughout the series, I don't know what's going to happen with Connie by the end of it. Hopefully he lives. Fingers crossed, he's made it this long, but I have no idea. But if nothing else, it will just always be gratitude. I will just be grateful to have been a part of it, and to have been such a part of it. And I just look forward to seeing whatever could come of it in the future.
Definitely.
Awesome.
That's a great answer too, because show like this only comes probably once in a generation or millennium, something that manages to bridge so many different genres and nail on the head so well. I had one more question, super fun one though. Have you by chance ever seen or been to the Attack on Titan stuff that they have in Universal Studios Japan by chance?
No, I haven't. I have not yet made it out to Japan. And
Same.
Maybe one day I will, but I have not. I haven't seen it. I've probably seen pictures of it, but I haven't actually gotten to experience it.
Yeah, it looks cool. I know I've seen some pictures, and like they go so all in with the immersion. Like you can get the food from the show, you can take pictures with the colossal Titan. Like it's really cool. I was just curious if you had checked any of that out before, but no, that's awesome.
That's such a funny idea to be like, they serve the food, and it's like just like some bread or like a potato.
It is too. That's so
That's
funny.
awesome.
Yeah.
So I wanted to, because you had mentioned, like, you hope, Connie stays alive, but you don't know. I think it was Josh, or maybe it was Bryce, who was talking about one of the things that really impressed them and kind of attracted them to the project in the first place was that they had said, anybody can die at any time. And it's sort of like kind of like a Game of Thrones thing. You never know what's going to happen. But I'm curious, as far as you as a voice actor goes, with not being like behind the scenes directorial on this show, is there, how much do you know in advance? Is it just what you voice, or do they give you like a script to show you what's going to happen, that way you can play to that?
Really, generally I know nothing going into it. I guess I could read the manga if I had the time, which seems like a really crummy thing to say. Like, how do you not have the time to read a book? But like sometimes I really just don't, because I'm so wrapped up in other projects that I'm working on. So to like, if I'm directing a show, I have to really be knowledgeable of that show. Whereas like acting for this, being knowledgeable of Attack on Titan is Mike McFarlane's job, so I can trust in him to lead me to where I need to go. I do try to at least watch the episodes ahead of time. So sometimes they come out in Japanese ahead of the show, and I'll try and watch ahead to just sort of have a sense of it. But even then, I can't always do that. I did it pretty consistently with season 2, and then didn't have the chance to do it at all with season 3. So season 3 really was like a wild ride for me the whole time. I had no idea what was happening at any moment, which I think worked, because I don't think Connie had any idea what was going on at any moment either. Aside from like the initial plans, but so I try to be informed of it. I am very fortunate that the fans of Attack on Titan, if Connie does something really cool, or if something really big happens with Connie in the manga, very often they will message me over social media and be like, Connie did this crazy thing, and they will not spoil it. Like, they won't tell me what it was, but they will tell me that something cool happened. So I always have a sense of like, okay, there's something coming up and I need to be aware of it. And I know, and I really appreciate that sort of interaction with the fans of it, because that tells me those are moments that fans are really excited for, and that gets me excited for them, and it makes me want to always do even better, and perform it even better, and make it have payoff for the fans. Like, we always go in and we always want to do a really good job and do the best we can, but when you know that there's something that's coming up that the fans are excited about, you really want to sink your teeth into it and make it something that they go, wow, that was great. And so those are sort of my general like bubble of knowledge. So I'm like, I sort of know these things. I sort of know a thing is going to happen. If I can watch it ahead of time, I will. So I sort of am a little bit more informed. But generally, I try to go into it a little bit more blind, because that's the one nice thing about voiceover and the way that we do it, is because we are adapting it. We don't really need to do advanced readings of the script or anything like that, because we can see the moment. We preview the moment in Japanese first, and then we record it, so I can see how the moment occurs, and then go ahead and perform it as well. So it's a very interesting process of informing the actor that this form of acting has. And that's good, because in real life, nothing is rehearsed. We don't know what's going to be said to us later in the day, and I don't even know what your next question is. Like, that's the kind of thing, that's real life. And so to go in and be able to perform this way, not knowing what the next moment is, but seeing what the moment we're in is, helps, I feel like, make that performance just a little bit more real, especially in a show like Attack on Titan, where literally anything could happen at any moment, and it's just suddenly now we're in political intrigue. So I think that's typically that's how I go into it, and that's the way I have gone this whole time. So it's the way I continue.
That set up my last question perfectly, actually, because
maybe I did know what the last question was.
Well, I wanted to know because obviously you have some experience, at least watching a little bit of the subs. So do you, when it comes to Connie's voice, did you do something that you made all of your own with working with Mike McFarlane, or was that something that you listened to the voice actor, the Japanese voice actor, and paid attention to the pitch or like the way that they delivered their lines, even though it was in a different language? How did you go about that with that process with Mike, I guess?
Well, it's actually really funny. To give you a little bit of an anecdote, when I first got called in for Attack on Titan, I got booked for like 3 hours or something like that. And strangely, I got booked on a Saturday, which was very uncommon. I was even aware of it back then. That's uncommon. Typically, they only recorded at Funimation from Monday to Friday. And so they were like, can you come in on Saturday? And I was like, sure, I guess. And I was just positive I was going to die. Like, I was like, I'm probably just some small character. I'm probably just going to get killed off, and that's fine. Because like I said, I was very new. Mm-hmm. And so when I went in and Mike was like, you're going to play this character, Connie. He's like, there was just something in your audition. I didn't audition for Connie because I actually misinterpreted his sides. The sides I thought made it out like Connie was a bully. And I didn't feel like I was going to be able to portray being a bully accurately, which is kind of funny at this point in my career. But back then, it didn't seem like something I felt like I could do. And so I completely misinterpreted what the sides were going for Connie. And so when I started to see him, I was like, oh, this is what the sides were trying to explain. And Mike even said to me, there was something in your audition that really struck this character's chord. And I was like, okay. And so we started listening. And the seiyuu for Connie is Hiro Shimono. And he has a very interesting and just wonderful texture to his voice. And I think when I yell, I sometimes strike a very similar sound. And I think that's what Mike kind of initially connected between us. And it's funny too, because I have since gone on to voice. I think I'm up to 4 shared roles with Hiro Shimono at this point. And so it's kind of funny. He as a performer is someone very consistent in my career as well, almost as much as Connie at this point. But so I think that played into it. We always try to sort of listen to what the original Japanese performer does and be honest to that performance and be informed of it. Like I said, I think I'm fortunate in that there's something that just naturally resonates between my voice and Shimono's. And I think it has to, at least some way, otherwise I wouldn't have consistently been cast as his roles. But those are the sorts of things that I think went into it initially, was just sort of like, I somehow resonated